right, Launch Button community, welcome back for another wonderful episode. We've got our special guest, Julie Furman, here today, and we're going to talk about transferring me to we and to build better, deeper relationships. And not only does this apply in your personal life, which is what she specializes in, but it also applies in your business. It also applies in all the different areas of your life. And the faster we, build deeper connections with people, the more likely they are to do business with you, to help you in life in general, and be better significant others for you, whatever that happens to be. So Julie, say hi to our audience and tell them a little bit about your background.
Great. Thanks for having me, Hugh. I'm Julie Furman, also known as Cupid's Coach. My podcast is the Cupid's Coach podcast. And I got into this crazy line of work because my husband's the guy who sold me my dating service membership 33 years ago. So he was a single guy, bachelor, 44, never married. Do you remember the name of the company, Great Expectations, Hugh? No.
But more from a movie, I think. But then,
yeah, well, it was Dickens' book first. But anyway, it was a franchise organization for video dating, and it was big in the 80s and the 90s. So I was 29.9 years old. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to have kids. So it's like TikTok. I tried everything else first. Everything. Personal ads. I put together a whole profile about myself with pictures. I sent it out to everybody I knew with a cover letter saying, who do you know who wants to meet this girl? I had a dating coach. That's what really changed everything. I hired myself a dating coach. And he was actually a friend of mine who was a business management consultant, outside the box kind of a thinker. And he was from Colombia, South America. He said, Julie, you need a marketing plan. You need a romance marketing plan. And I'm like, okay, we'll build a romance marketing plan. Well, we did. He made me pay. He needed to have skin. He needed me to have skin in the game. And first he worked on all the things I was doing wrong. He took my list of 532 must-have requirements and we shrunk it down to the 3 most important, right?
You only had a couple there, right? Only
yeah, just it's very common. And to this day, I don't care how long people's lists are, but when we do our first phone call together, which is always free, whenever we do our coaching sessions in boot camp, we always will isolate those critical criteria. And I will tell people, especially women, don't you say no to a guy if he's hot for you and he meets those 3 criteria. Absolutely give him a first date, second date, give him a third date. If you don't develop the hots for him by the 3rd date, you probably won't. Spin it into a friendship and keep your pants on so that you'll be able to do that.
Is that the key? Keep the pants on?
Yes, it's keep the pants on until you've had an upfront, light of day, sober conversation about what sex means to you, what it means to this other person. What's their primary dating purpose? What are they doing dating for? I was just on another podcast with people that are just recently divorced. So they're probably, that person's going to have a different agenda than somebody who's been out there dating for 5 years, really ready to meet the person. So I love to help people figure out, where are you in the process, and let's do it well. So I built a company that enables me to privately register men and women both. I serve both men and women, and lots of levels, totally free to be registered, but it's private. Then there's consultations, and then there's boot camp. And then if they pass all of those tests, I might consider taking them on at the high level as my personal matchmaking client, but they have to pass all those tests first.
That's awesome that you make them go through.
I make them. That's why we call it boot camp. If they can't survive 60 days of boot camp with me, they are not going to survive personal matchmaking. And I do the matchmaking differently than when I started. I wasn't as smart as I am now when I started 20 years ago. I didn't realize that we women, we like to think that we want to be equal with you guys. We like to think we want everything the same. We don't. We don't want to deal with rejection. We can't handle rejection. You guys don't like it either, but you've been dealing with it since the 6th grade, haven't you? What's your story? Is there a Mrs. Zaretsky?
So I went through the divorce process. Definitely went through. I feel like sometimes we get what we want, but it's not really what we want, so to think, right? We have a perception going into a relationship or something like that. and then you have that ability to come out the other side. And most people haven't done the work to deal with their traumas, so they bring that into the relationship, right? And
Thank you very much. That's exactly right. There's a book that I've been recommending to everybody. It's called Speaking in Thumbs. It's by Dr. Mimi Winsberg, and it's a lot about communication and what we can learn about ourselves and other people through our text messages. It's fascinating, and there's so much good dating advice in that book, and just about relationships in general with our spouses, our families. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not willing to work with people who aren't growth oriented anymore. If they're just coming to me for a quick fix, I'll send them right back to online dating, or I'll send them to a sugar daddy matchmaker. You want to date what? You want to date somebody 25, 30 years younger? Great. I got the phone number for you. Some of these agencies are very unethical and doing all kinds of crazy things just to get people to go out with their clients. It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sleaziness in this industry. So I hold the space for ethics and morals and integrity and character in the dating
Well,
industry.
well, we totally believe that with everything we do with the launch button. Like it's about you first, and then we situations happen, good or bad, and we have to deal with it the right way.
Yeah.
And that's how we learn with people, right? I always tell
Yeah.
people first you got to like somebody, then you got to trust them, then you can do business with them, and same thing in the personal space, right? First you got to have that some sort of like, it could just be a connection, I believe, and you're the expert, but I'll just, there's got to be some sort of connection. It could be something you guys do in common, and then be able to build from there. And if you can't get past the trust, then it sort of stops right there.
I really like to match people based on values, passions, a couple of shared passions, not everything, but a couple of things you can do together. My husband and I have been married for 33 years. And one of the reasons is because we love our dogs and also because we love hiking in the mountains. It's why we moved to Santa Fe. We've been hiking together for 33 years. Find somebody who has a couple of those shared passions, but also for women, almost always, when we really boil it down, what matters more than anything is honesty, integrity, character, being able to count on his word. If you're that kind of a guy, you're golden, just golden. And for a woman to dismiss a guy like that because maybe he's not as tall as she wants or he doesn't have as much hair, that is just plain stupid. Because guess why? We have the ability to develop attraction over time for you guys. You don't. You have equipment that needs to work. You're either attracted or you're not. That's the way it is. It's not because you're superficial or shallow. It's because you literally have equipment that if it doesn't work, our species doesn't stay on the planet. It's
Well,
instinct.
that goes back to and so I talk a lot about that, the instinct and
Yeah.
the cave woman brain, right? That go back
Yeah.
all the way back in the day with what we do. But it's great that you're saying that, because a lot of people are like, hey, you got to have these 10 things in the dating world,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
You got to have this or whatever it is. And like you said, they dismiss people that could have been probably good matches for them.
Absolutely. And by the end of a 4-month period of time, when I'm working with the matchmaking client, sometimes they'll actually come to the conclusion, maybe I don't really want to be in a relationship. Maybe I've been pretending. Maybe I've had this big long list of all the things that I wanted and needed, but it's been such a long list that nobody made the cut because really maybe I didn't want to open my heart again. So I just like people to get real, and I help them get real and have a sense of humor about the whole thing because human beings are hilarious.
That is true, right? People do certain things and you're like, where'd that come from, right?
Or sometimes it's us. I can't believe I just said that. Oh my God.
So we're really big on communication, and I think that goes a long way with what you're saying here, because oftentimes men and women, right, just communicate differently, and different words mean different things to other people, right?
It's really true. And I spend a lot of time and energy not only studying masculine and feminine, and it's more than gender, it's the masculine, the feminine. We all have both to different degrees. I have quizzes I have people take. And like, I'm actually quite masculine, even though I try to wear jewelry and stuff like that. My husband thinks I'm just a guy. That's why we get along. It's just like hanging out with another dude. So that's part of it, but we have to learn the distinctions. Like, transition time is something that you guys need. If you're doing this right now and then you run right back home in your family and your kids and everybody, my husband needs 20 minutes in the can with this crossword puzzle before he talks to anybody, right? That's just transition time. And we need to respect that. And sometimes you guys are listening to us blab on and on and on and on, and you think we need you to solve the problem. So
Guilty.
we have
I
to
know I've done that in the past, right? Like, and I've learned that lesson.
we have to save you. We have to say, Hugh, something really bad happened today. I'm going to tell you about it. You're not in trouble, and you don't have to fix it. Can we just hold the trash can for like 5 minutes and I'm going to tell you what happened? And you'll be like, sure, I don't have to do anything. Yeah. We have to help you know what it is that we need from you, because otherwise you're going to try to fix it.
Right.
It's your job. You're a provider, you're a protector. Fix it.
Yep.
So it does a lot of communication stuff. We have to have a sense of humor about it. We have to talk about it. We have to have compassion for the times when we're weak, and we have to learn how to say, I'm sorry. Sometimes we have to learn how to ask for an apology.
Yeah. I always
So,
say guys are pretty simple sometimes. If you oftentimes just tell us what you want, we give it to people, right? Like we're just not on the same wavelength. We're like, oh well.
and we're so silly. We think that you should be able to figure it out, but we're very complex women. I don't know how you put up with this. I really don't. But we need to tell you, hey, you know what? That thing called my birthday is coming up. And just so you know, you're off the hook. You could get me this, this, or this. How about that?
I,
Make it
simple.
easy for him. Come on, let him win. Set him up to win instead of setting him up to fail. There's a girl that is dating a new guy right now. I introduced them. They're on like date 5 or 6, and he went away for a vacation for a week, and he came back, and it's been a whole day, and he hasn't reached out to her yet. And it's that early tender budding relationship, so she's anxious and stressed out about it. I said, it's real simple, sweetie. You either give him another day. You know how it is when you come home from vacation, your email box and your phone calls, and it's just crazy. Give him another day to catch up, or check in on him and say, how you doing? I hope you're recovering from your trip. I hope your email box is manageable. When do I get to see you again? Something. Just let him pin you down. Women have this idea, well, he has to court me. He has to be the man with the plan. When you're in a relationship with a woman, who usually makes the social plans, Hugh?
So it used to always be, well, it's supposed to be the guy, right? We're supposed to step into that and set that, but oftentimes we don't know what to do. So in the beginning, when I used to date, I didn't know what to do, right? So I'd be like, oh, what do you like to do? And then most people are like, well, I don't know. What do you want to do? And then it doesn't work out right, right? So
We
if you're
have
like,
to give you a clue,
oh,
because
yes,
the reason why you don't want to suggest something is because you want us to be happy. You want it to be, if you suggested target shooting and I'm thinking, let's go pet puppies at the pet store, we're far from each other. But if I give you a few ideas of things that would make me happy, then you get to be the hero picking the thing that you know is going to make me happy. Is that unromantic? I think that's highly romantic. Let's get straight to the pet store because we both love puppies. How about we do that?
right, yeah. Like if you guys give us a little bit of clue, and I know a lot of times it'll be like, oh, what kind of food do you like? Oh, anything. And that's the worst thing for a guy, right? Because
Oh.
our whole goal in the dating world is to please you. And if you don't give us any clues, we can't really do that.
Yeah,
Right.
so if you're going to ask me out for a date, I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to say, here's the thing, Hugh, I'm happy with a drinks date. I like a coffee date. I like a cafe date, or we can go to the pet shop and pet puppies. Any of those things would make me happy.
Yep. So I learned this from another coach, right? Is that I put out like 5 different things and I go, okay, do you like these 5 or do you have a better option?
There you
And
go.
so same type of thing. And that way it's like, all right, if there's
Yeah,
something on they like, then we can do it. If not,
yeah.
better option. But I do want to circle back to one thing because I think that's highly important on the communication side that you were talking about, like the guy coming home from the trip. Oftentimes I'll text somebody when I'm dating them, but occasionally I'll get busy, like you said. And it's, if she reaches out to me, then I know, oh, okay, like, there is still that joint interest, and it's not just because if guys chase too much, it pushes people away automatically.
Every time I ask men that question, how does it feel for you when a woman reaches out and checks in with you or says, hey, I got Saturday evening open, you want to do something? They say, please tell them to do it instead of waiting and getting mad that I didn't do it. They don't know what he's got going on his schedule. You guys are single focused. You're doing one thing at a time, and usually well. Women are like paying attention to everything. We call it diffuse awareness, right? We can do
Yep.
8 things at once, maybe none of them well, but we're we got to have the kid, we got to the stuff's on the stove, and then the phone rings, and there's somebody at the doorbell, and oh my god, the laundry needs to be changed. We're doing all of it at the same time, and somehow we manage it. And we think that guys have the same capacity. It's just different. You guys are better at following a golf ball. You guys are better at shooting the bird out of the sky. Those are the things that you used to need to do for us.
Yeah, well, it's the hunter gatherer, right? Like you guys
That's
can pick out
exactly right.
the
It
berry with
wasn't
like.
that long ago. It wasn't that long ago. So I really like to help people in 2 domains. Certainly the dating element, of course. And anybody just goes to my website, juliefurman.com, register. I'm the one who responds. I greet everybody. I've done 36,000 registrations in 20 years, but I still am the one at the front door. Because if anybody's a little fishy, I just don't let them in, right? I got to know who's coming into my environment. But also, I love to teach people, men, women, married, everything, about the art of social magnetism and how to draw the right people. You know, there's 2 kinds of people in the world. There's my people, and then there's not my people, right? So how can we be sticky so that our people will find us and we will find them and draw them in? And if we can learn to do that, we will never have a lonely day, ever.
That's awesome, and that plays right into personal life, business, real estate, all the different things. Because you want to attract those people in that want to do those same type of things, right? We
Yeah.
just had somebody say, "Hey, does somebody want to partner with me on one of our calls?" And it's like, well, okay, but what are you bringing to the table? What are you offering on that partnership is part of it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody say, "Hey, I want a partner." Great, everybody wants a partner, or they don't, right?
Yeah.
And how do we bring that together? And you're giving some great tips here today on that, and to be able to do that. And one of the things I also like to do is these live boot camps. So maybe we'll figure something out in the future on how
Oh,
we.
I'm so happy with the boot camp. I finally did it. I'm kicking myself that I didn't do it 33 years ago when I started in this industry, but it wouldn't have been as good as it is. It's 60 days and we cover everything. And it's really beautiful. It takes 60 days to kind of cause a transformation. And so what we're doing is actually creating people being more welcoming, more friendly, walking up to people at the supermarket. What's your story? All of this. And using calling cards. I want women to be more comfortable approaching men out there, or just, it's like the 3 levels of flirting. First, we turn the cab light on and we smile at you, and then we look away, and then we look back again, and then the smile's for you, right? And then we talk about nothing. Everybody's good at that. But the part where people fall apart is when you say, hey, Hugh, you know what? I really enjoyed talking to you today. Here's how to find me. Like it's no big deal because that card doesn't have my last name on it. Nothing on that card is Googleable. I'm using a Google Voice number, or I'm using something called the Burner app, which disguises my phone number. But you can call me, and then it's something dating related, and then we can start a conversation. Men are begging me to beg women to do more of this because since the Me Too thing happened, really good men are holding back from approaching because they have respect for women and they don't want us to feel preyed upon. So, and then COVID happened with the masks and everything. So people are really struggling with this right now, and they go to the online sites, and that is just a cluster F. That's what
We
it
can say
is.
that here. It's okay. We're from New York. We fully understand.
Can I say
Yeah, like
clusterfuck? Can I say
yeah.
clusterfuck? Fuck, fuck, fuck. It's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Online dating is a clusterfuck. It's set up as a popularity contest, and the algorithms are not our friend.
Right.
They're set up to get us to keep paying and get those little bits of dopamine like rats in a cage. It's really creepy. So don't trust the online dating sites. They are not our friend.
Well, and I'll say this about a lot of people are getting those dopamine hits from that, and being in New York City where we were a lot super locked down, and then I was traveling to Florida where it was the opposite, right? So, but yeah, it is sort of tough for guys nowadays because you want to be that masculine, you want to hold the door open, but can I, right? Like, you know, I go back to the real,
Always, just always. I hold the door. I don't care. It's a nice thing to do for whoever. Why would
but
you
then some
slam the
people,
door on anybody?
but then some people get upset, you know, like I do, you know, so it's a weird thing. You go back to what was that gangster movie back, where like the guy holds a car door open and then she reaches across and
Was
opens
it
the,
Goodfellas?
I don't know if it's
One
Goodfellas, it
of
was
those. I
something
know the one
like
you mean.
that. You know what
And it
I,
was
you
a
know,
test. It was a
it was a
test.
test, right?
Right.
Like we walk around and she's gonna unlock the door, right? You hold the door and those types of things. And it's really gotten tough, I think, for guys in this world of how much do you do? You know,
Yeah.
I haven't gone on dates here in New York City. One girl got really mad at me because I didn't pick her up from offer to pick her up from her place. Now in New York, we walk to places, but everybody else is like, I don't want you to know where I live until we meet in person.
Exactly. So
So
it,
like,
we need to let you know how you can win with us. There's
right,
something that we've discovered about you guys. If whatever activity it is, if you think that you don't have any chance of winning at it, you're just not going to put the effort into it. You're going to save that energy for something else. So if we make you jump through all of these hoops, you're going to be like, it's just too much work. It's a lot easier dating Susie. Susie's just easygoing and available and helps pay for things. Oh, I help them get through the whole maze.
yeah,
It's,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
it's tricky. It's real tricky.
Well, that's awesome. And hopefully you guys here in the Launch Button family are getting lots of good golden nuggets out of this on how to connect with people because that's really what it is, right? Building those connections. And in business, just like in the personal life, give people clues if there's something you want. You
Yeah.
gotta let them know,
Yeah.
right?
And the part of it is we need to know what we want, Hugh. We need to actually have done enough personal growth work that we know ourselves well enough that when we're in a funk, we can sit here and think, hmm, what is it? And then if we go inside, we do that meditative work, get some clarity, take a walk, and be responsible for our part of whatever that thing is that's happening. It's all this growth work that we both need to do. If we know what we want and we have the skills to verbalize it, we're going to get so much more of what we want and need. And other people are going to be happy because they get to provide it for us. Yeah, it's communication, darling. I'm glad you're working on this stuff with all your people.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest things is just that ability to communicate with them and give the other person clues on what you want because
Yeah.
guys I mean I speak for most guys, we're pretty simple. If you're like, hey, I like this, we try and do that. Like
Yeah.
if we're into you and doing that, like we'll try and be like, oh,
Yeah.
like that, okay, great,
You
like make
you guys are amazing like that. Just amazing. Yeah, I love men, totally love men. And I love women and I want them to have less strife and more harmony. So that's why I keep doing what I'm doing. And I'm glad you've got a big listenership because half those people are probably single, hating the whole dating thing. So tell them stop bitching, call Julie, get registered, juliefurman.com. Come on, let's fix it. It's not a big deal.
yeah, we'll get them set up with some special links in the
I
show
do a
notes.
lot of free introductions.
Yeah,
Um, my husband's Jewish, and do you know what a mitzvah is?
I do.
Yeah, it's a blessing. It's a good deed. Well, I'm going to tell you a cute story. I think we have just enough time. This lady here that you can see, but maybe your listeners can't, that's my mother-in-law. She was in her 80s when she found herself single again. And she said, Julie, I'm getting lonely on the weekends. Maybe you should find me a boy toy. And I'm thinking, oh my God, Frida, don't make me. You're 86 years old, for goodness sake. And she said, I know you can't promise me an introduction, but if you ever had one, it would be a mitzvah. And I never had to match Feisty Frida. She had 3 more boyfriends before she passed. Critical criteria was, let me think, pulse.
Pulse,
He had
right?
to
Yeah.
fog a mirror. He had to be able to fog a mirror. And then the third thing was he had to drive at night. And she would keep the guy as long as he could drive at night. And when he couldn't drive at night, she'd kick him to the curb. So during COVID, I started doing mitzvah matches because I was bored. And I started doing free introductions for people who had never been my matchmaking clients. They might have done a coaching call with me, but they'd never paid the big bucks. I just wanted to see what would happen because I had the time on my hands. It was so incredibly fruitful that I've kept doing it. I do as many introductions for free as I do for my high level clients. It's the community service division of my company. And all it took was a pandemic for me to get the chutzpah to do it.
There you go. Awesome. Well,
Really fun.
we appreciate your time here today, Julie. And we're going to have some
Thank you,
special
Hugh.
bonuses in the show notes for you guys to be able to work with Julie in the future. be able to talk about some of the different things that are going on as we are coming back to more live events and be able to get some live events across the country. And I'll be in LA a couple times this year, so hopefully we can connect in person, Julie, and be
Yep.
able to do things and be able to make it happen. But just like Julie was talking about here today, it's about building those faster, deeper, better connections to get you what you want in your relationships, in your business, in your real estate, and in your life in general. And let's all just be happy and make it simple for the other person. Get a little better at communicating. That's all it takes. We're constantly all learning how to be better communicators. So just take that step, take that action to get to the next level. So we appreciate all your listeners here today. Check out the show notes, get some reviews, hit the hearts, hit the likes, and we'll see everybody next time. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us on the Launch Button Podcast, your gateway to unlocking your true potential and pursuing your passions. Don't let the journey end here. For more empowering insights, valuable resources, exclusive content, and free giveaways, visit www.thelaunchbuttonpodcast.com.